Oh, we're not live.
This meeting of the Oak Park City Council is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Ed Norris, please call the roll.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes. Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss.
Here.
Okay, next, a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a few items on the consent agenda. These are routine items that are presented without discussion, and any council member can ask to have one of them removed from the blanket approval. Item A, regular council meeting minutes of July 2nd, 2018. B, zoning board of appeals meeting minutes of March 27th. C, corridor improvement authority board meeting minutes of April 19th. D, request to advertise for bids for the 2018-19 catch basin line replacement project, M687. E, request to advertise for bids for the 2018-19 miscellaneous concrete project, M682. F, licenses, new and renewals, is submitted for July 16th. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We don't have an elected official here today, so City Manager Tungate would like to recognize a special employee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. It is my honor that tonight we are going to be recognizing Jack Frontiera, who's our maintenance supervisor here at the city government. And Jack is our first maintenance supervisor in some time, and what really ends up being a reconstituted role from the past. And he has done a tremendous job in reconfiguring the way we look at all of our city facilities, and I hope you can see that by being in this particular facility of the city and many more. I would also like to ask our Assistant City Manager, Kevin Yee, to join me at the podium, and he would like to say a few words as well.
Thank you. Jack Frontiera has been here for been with the City of Oak Park for about 2 years. We stole him over from the school district. He was working over there, and I believe it was Gary Shermatero who saw him working and thought he was a hard worker and said, hey, why don't you come on over and apply? But as the city manager had mentioned, back in some of the rougher times during the recession, we eliminated the building maintenance repair position, actually transferred those folks to the Public Works Department, and it was a struggle for us to keep up with anything. We were trying to use Public Works folks to try to fill in the gaps, but we were lacking in a lot of areas. So finally, we were able to backfill that position, and Jack has been a godsend to us ever since. He does an incredible job and has a great amount of pride in what he does. You can see it in everything that he touches. He doesn't like to contract anything out, so he's always trying to figure it out if he doesn't know it, and he works really hard to try to save us money and time, and does a wonderful job. He does some projects, side projects. Public safety had some issues with some of their walls, and he put up some, I believe, wainscoting and painted it, cut out a badge. I mean, it's just incredible, some of the work that he's done, and just going above and beyond doing this. We typically don't give such an honor to a newer employee. I mean, 2 years is relatively new, but Jack, over the last couple of years, has really shown what a great asset he is to the city and to our department. So we definitely welcome this honor for him.
Absolutely. And Jack, I think you're here with your family. If you'd like to come up to the front, and we'd like to get a couple photos, and I'd like to present you with this certificate of recognition. And council members, please join me.
Bring the family up too.
Thank you so much for bringing your family along, and thanks for everything you do. If you have something, find something wrong, Jack fixes it in a heartbeat, which is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Item B, again to City Manager Eric Tungate for public safety millage renewals.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council, and members of the public. I want to take a few minutes and do a really brief presentation. This is the same presentation that we have now conducted over the course of 2 town hall meetings and a 3rd upcoming town hall meeting on August. Did you see this? What? Where's Crystal? I think it's August 1st, but okay. So there are 2 renewals on the ballot for the primary election coming up in August. The first renewal, and I'll get to in a moment actually, why are the renewal of both of these millages important? Because even though property values are rising, the state of Michigan limits the amount of revenue growth realized by the city to the rate of inflation, or 5%, whichever is less. So back in the crash of 2008, the city of Oak Park's taxable value overall, residential, commercial, and industrial taxable values plummeted about 40%. Now imagine that, about 40% of our main source of revenue was lost in the crash. And so if you look at the chart, I think you can see that. If you look at what 1 mill was worth back in 2008 versus what 1 mill, as it's called, is worth today, you can see the difference there. It's a dramatic decrease in our main source of revenue. So why are the renewal of both millages important? They're important because we rely on them to provide public safety services. And in 2002, as you can see from this graph, and I think that's pretty clear there, we received about $5 million in state shared revenue sharing from the state of Michigan. In 2018, we received about $3.39 million, a dramatic reduction to go along with our taxable value decreases, by the way. Since 2002, the city's lost about $23 million in state revenue sharing that we otherwise would have received. And if you look at some of our budget shortfalls over the years, that number fits very nicely in each of those years since 2002. So we've struggled to make up for this loss, and we're also facing other challenges, mostly in the form of long-term liabilities that are increasing at more than the rate of inflation. For example, our health care costs, which is one of our largest costs here at the city. Health care is increasing at right around 9% actual. And as you can see here, the increases in revenue to the city are not increasing anywhere near that. So keeping up with that is a tremendous challenge. What have we done to reduce costs to our budget? Well, first, we have a citywide hiring freeze in place. Second, we've refinanced voter bonded debt. The city does not have any debt, by the way. The city of Oak Park does not carry any debt of its own. It's all voter bonded debt that we've used to repave roads and so forth. We refinanced some of that voter bonded debt over the last few years, and we've saved about $2 million in interest costs that otherwise would have gone to an underwriter bank or whomever. We're very proud of that. We've also made it so employees who receive pensions have increased their own contribution to their retirement costs. One of our bargaining groups right now is paying 9.5% of their own pay towards their own retirement. We've eliminated pensions to new general city employees, and we've eliminated retiree health care to all new employees. And this has been going on for some time now, not just recently. We've tried our very best to reduce health care costs. We've increased co-pays. We've gone to a self-funded health care system here at the city, which is otherwise called a pay-as-you-go and incur the costs. Future costs beyond the hard cap, as it's called, will be passed on to the employees. We've applied for numerous grants. Many of our infrastructure projects, including the 9-mile redesign project, is just over 70% grant funded, and most, if not all, of those dollars being used from the city are not general fund dollars, by the way. We've got sponsorships for events. In fact, we'll be hearing about the 4th of July parade here in a moment. Vast majority of the funds used for that event are from sponsors and others donating it to it. Our facade improvement program, the public safety ice cream truck is donated funds that were used to turn that project into a reality. We've cut our general operating costs in each of the departments by 5%. That was one of my mandates to each of the department heads going into the budget year. We've cut a lot, but we also looked at ways we could grow the city's tax base, because we can cut all day long and never arrive to the promised land. We knew that we had to have a way to grow the tax base, and you're seeing that now. There's an article I think someone on council is going to talk about later where it talks about people moving into the city of Oak Park, and there's no question that we're a pretty hot market right now. Partnerships with neighboring communities, we've got a whole bunch of interlocal agreements to save the city money, where economies of scale make it easier and cheaper for us to do projects with other cities nearby who are already doing those projects. The building that we're sitting in now and this public safety space next door, we built this $1 million under budget, and I like to brag about this because I don't know of many public projects that have done that, at least that I know of. So what is the first renewal we're asking for? And this is the renewal for public safety, the Public Act 345 for our public safety retirement system. I want to stress that this isn't a renewal, not a tax increase. This is a straight renewal. City Council decided to ask for a straight renewal as opposed to a tax increase. So approving this does not mean that your taxes go up. It actually means that your taxes stay status quo. And it means that the millage renewal will not exceed 7 mills for a period of 7 years. So for every $1,000 of taxable value, the charge for this would be $7 for every $1,000 of taxable value. This is restricted money. This cannot be used for pet projects or whatever else. It's very clear by state law what these funds are to be used for. It's for public safety, pension, and retiree health care costs. And don't forget, back in 2012, before this was initially approved the first time, the city was forced to lay off 15 public safety officers. We've now hired back 8 of those 15 positions, and I'm very proud of this because we were able to do it very responsibly instead of all at once. That would have been a travesty had we done that and had to lay them off later on. We'd like to get back to the 15. If the millage renewal does not pass for PA 345, then guess what? We're going to have to find these funds elsewhere, and that could mean some dramatic cutbacks, up to and including layoffs of public safety officers and getting rid of certain city departments and functions. The second renewal request is a partial Headley override millage renewal for public safety. This is a 1 mill renewal. And again, just like the previous one, this is a millage renewal, not a tax increase. This one is subject to the Headley rollback, and you'll see the .985 mills there for 10 years. It's not 1 mill because it's rolling back. The revenue from this millage is available for purposes of funding personnel, equipment, and operations in public safety only. This is a direct public safety millage. And same thing can be said that, with these dollars, we've been able to make meaningful investments in bulletproof vests and patrol vehicle HD cameras in our vehicles and so forth. Very, very important that the department is operating effectively. What does it mean for you? And again, these are both millage renewals. Voting yes does not increase your taxes. It keeps them status quo. So even if both of these passed, because of what I just mentioned about the Headley rollback, you're actually going to see a decrease in your taxes going forward from where they are today. And I think it's interesting to note that before the Great Recession, as I mentioned right at the outset of the presentation, the average Oak Park home, valued at the average taxable value, actually paid more in taxes because the taxable values were higher than they would with these renewals in place. And you can see, I think you can see those charts pretty well there. I'd also like to add that the question that I get a lot is, well, aren't property market values increasing? Well, why won't this help solve the budget issue? And as I mentioned, we are limited by state law to capture of the rate of inflation, or 5%, whichever is less, against taxable value. We do not charge you taxes against the market value of your home. The market value of your home is what it is. The taxable value is something else entirely. And we're limited, because of Proposal A, on what we can capture. So if we lost 40% and we're able to capture, let's say, 1% back per year, you can see we've got a long way to go before we get to where we need to be. And I think it's interesting to note that Tony Mangini, who's the Chief Operating Officer of the Michigan Municipal League, this is one of his quotes. "It's a horribly designed system," he says, "but it is what it is. This is the system we live under. This is the state law that we operate under." At this time, I would like our Public Safety Director to come up for just a couple of comments, and then I'd like to take some questions if I could.
Good evening to our city council and our members in the audience here. The city manager did a really great job as far as explaining the 345 millage. I just wanted to kind of talk very briefly about my responsibility as a public safety director. I've been tasked, obviously, with providing the best possible services with the sources and with the resources that we have allocated to the city. And I've always touted and I've always really felt good about the service that we provide. I think that our response time, as well as the service that we provide, are second to none, and they don't come without a price. Like the city manager said, in 2012, unfortunately, we went through a restructuring process where we had to actually eliminate 15 public safety officer positions. And in doing so, I had to evaluate and analyze how were we going to provide or continue to provide the service that our residents have become accustomed to with 15 fewer officers. And to say that, you know, that'll keep you up at night is an understatement. In a lot of the situations, I had to double duty assignments for some of the positions, meaning that everybody was asked to do more. We had to cut wages, we cut benefits, and we were able to fight our way back to 50 officers. Now, we've come a long way with the 50 officers, but we still have a long way to go. And we appreciate the support that our residents, which includes this council, has given our public safety department over the years. It's absolutely critical that the 2 public safety millages that appear on the ballot this fall pass in order for the public safety department to be able to continue to provide the services that all of you have become accustomed. And I'm not suggesting standing here that you vote one way or another, but just simply wanted to state the facts as it relates to these millages. Let me take a moment to kind of give you a little perspective as to the direction of the Public Safety Department. Our focus in public safety has always been on community and relationships, strengthening and reinforcing relationships, building bonds while broadening our reach in the community. Fighting crime and catching the bad guys is a big part of what we do, but also a big part of what we do is nurturing and developing relationships in our community, especially with our youth. And during these very early formative years, I think it is absolutely critical. When we talk about these formative years, I'm talking about especially our pre-K, our elementary, middle school, not to exclude our high school students, but especially those students, catching them at an early age. One of the things that we were able to do, to the credit of the council and the city managers, we were able to add a second community resource officer. And in my opinion, I think that position is vital. I think it is critical and as crucial as a patrol officer's position. The one community resource officer, I'm sure all of you are aware, was Devin Benson. And just to kind of give you a little snapshot, City of Oak Park has 3 school districts. I think most everybody knows that and realizes that, which includes the Oak Park School District, the Berkeley School District, the Ferndale School District. We also have several, Jewish schools in the community. We have Montessori schools, we have pre-K, we have nursery schools. To be able to have one officer get into those schools with a meaningful impact on a consistent basis is practically impossible to hit every level, every grade, along with the other duties that community resource officer is tasked with, which includes several block clubs that Devin actually attends, actually helps to set up and run. Devin handles our vehicle fleets, block picnics. He manages 15 crossing guards, as well as our volunteer parking enforcement, mediate community disagreements or arguments that we may have, and the list goes on and on. So to bring the second community resource officer into the fold was critical, and that community resource officer is none other than our former detective Robert Cook, but now he's our second community resource officer. I could not think of a better person to put in that position than Officer Robert Cook. He has demonstrated himself in so many ways, and to put him in there was a natural fit, in my opinion. Some of the things that we have been doing and will continue to do in the community, just to give our residents an understanding, a little bit of more of an understanding of what we do, is the ice cream truck. The ice cream truck is in its second year, and actually Officer Cook was just out before the council meeting riding around in the ice cream truck, and I think he said he gave out about 250 ice creams. He was in the west corner of our city this time, and we'll be making our way throughout. But and we've actually varied our schedule some. We got a lot of requests last year about, hey, you know, the truck was out early, can we get the truck out a little bit later? So we're hitting some of the evening hours, incorporating that into our schedule. So that's one of the things that we're doing. One of the things that I want you to look forward to this coming soon, it won't be this fall, it'll be before this fall, it's called Coffee with the Cop. So we'll be setting up at various restaurants throughout Oak Park. We'll put out a sandwich board type display, and simply want our residents to come in and have a cup of coffee with the officers. And I will be at each one of those. The coffee is at no cost to yourself, and there's no agenda. We just want you to come in and talk. If you want to come in and talk about sports, you can talk about sports. If you want to come in and talk about what's going on in the community, or if you want to come in and hold the chief's feet to the fire, then I will be there. If we want to just come in and just sit around and laugh and do whatever, we will be there. So we will be designating various times that we'll be doing that. We have several restaurants that have already agreed to sponsor the event. So like I said, it's another way for our community to engage our officers. It's less stressful times, and just to interact. So we're looking forward to that. As all of you are aware, our K-9 officer Mace has been about exactly a year, almost to the date, on the job as we speak. Officer Hodakowski is the handler. Sergeant Joe Meyer runs the K-9, or oversees the K-9 program. Mace is trained in several areas, and I'll just run through them really quick. He's trained in obedience, tracking, narcotic detection, area search, building search, suspect apprehension, handler protection, and missing person searches, which I think a lot of people, when you start thinking of K-9s, you start thinking about he's out there, you know, you're sicking him on people, he's finding drugs, he's doing a lot of the traditional things that K-9s do. But also, when we have members in our community, in our elderly portion of our community that may suffer from dementia, or if we may have some of our young children that may suffer from autism, or whatever the special needs may be, Mace is also trained to help us search and seek out our residents at that level as well. We had him in each of our elementary schools before school let out this past school year, and they got an opportunity to see him firsthand, come and pet and play with him, and he is a great partner in our department here. So look forward to more of that coming in the fall here, and we're happy to have Mace aboard. Citizens Academy is in its third year. We've added Mace, incorporated him into that program as well. And one other facet that we've added into our Citizens Academy is what we did. We took an actual homicide case that we had from years past, and we actually let the residents sit down and go through the homicide case and go through actual evidence. We gave them portions of the case to actually read, so they could really kind of sit behind and have that CSI and see what we saw, and kind of talk their way through it, and ask those tough questions and make decisions. And that has really kicked our Citizens Academy to another level. And we'll continue to build and reflect on that as the years come. Just very quickly, our traffic enforcement detail is in full force, and it has been for some time now, thanks to our city manager who blessed that program. One of the number one complaints, well, let me put it this way, the number one complaint that we receive in the city of Oak Park is traffic. Believe it or not, you know, speeding motorists, reckless drivers, people not obeying yield signs or stop signs, you know, coming through our communities at, you know, extremely high speeds. So what we've done, this is in addition to our patrol operation. So this is actually an overtime detail. We're not taking away from our manpower that we already have on the road. This is augmenting or supplementing that, and we are putting those officers in various locations, which I won't tell you, but just be aware that they're out there. We are very aggressively enforcing all of our Michigan vehicle code, traffic laws, and it's not to dampen anybody's day or to give someone a ticket. We would much rather have voluntary compliance, but our main objective is to keep everyone safe, especially in the summer times when everybody's out taking walks. Your children are out playing, they're riding bikes, and we know how kids are. They're running the street after a ball, and the last thing we would want is something tragic to happen because of that. So we're out there. We are, it's been very successful, like I said, and I think we're really having an impact as far as slowing some of the motorists that use our city, and actually residents that live in our city that come through here on a daily basis down. So be on the lookout for us. We're out there. And the last thing I just wanted to say was just to kind of reiterate about those two public safety millages. As the city manager said, these are not tax increases, but are straight renewals. And they are critical for our public safety department to continue to operate at the levels that we've been operating at. And I'd just like to extend my sincere appreciation for the support that this council, our residents, have shown the public safety department throughout the years. I've been here 28 years, and I can tell you this, we have the best residents anywhere. They love their public safety department. We love our residents, and there's nothing that we would not do for you. And like I said, we want to make you proud and continue to provide the services at the level that you are accustomed to having those services provided. If there's anything that I can do to further assist, please do not hesitate to call or come in and see me at my office hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cooper. That is the most inspiring list of accomplishments and attitudes. This is an innovative, stellar department that can be a model for all of the other departments, I think, in the country as far as community engagement goes. And you can see from the heart of the Chief of Police where that comes from. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cooper. We're going to take some questions if there are some. Do we want to take some from? Can you come up here and speak in the microphone, please? It does have to be regarding this topic, or is it this topic your question is about?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know if anyone was aware, but AAA has a foundation, and they provide money, grants for this kind of service. My primary concern is texting and driving. It's a nuisance. It's worse than drunk driving because everyone at one time or another has been guilty of participating in it. Because I used to work with AAA, I'm aware of what can happen. Kids are dying. People are being injured and insurance rates are going up. So there is funds available, but also they have brochures currently printed for texting and driving. I don't know if you can address them when you give them to people when they're being stopped or put them in their windshield. I've done that a few times because I had some in my car, people who almost hurt me. But anyway, the brochure is available and there's a flyer also. It's well printed, it's available and it's free. Maybe during the Coffee with the Cop hour they can be handed out.
Thank you. Great suggestion.
Thank you very much. Other questions, comments? Thank you very much.
All right. Wow. Accounting reports, kind of a come down after all that excitement. We need an approval for payment of invoices submitted by Garen Lukow Miller, PC, for legal services, total amount of $21,425.59.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carried. City Manager, item 15A, primary election.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to turn it over to our City Clerk, Ed Norris, for 15A, please.
Thank you. I want to take a couple minutes to remind you some things about the election coming up. And first of all, just that, the upcoming state primary election is Tuesday, August 7th, and where we'll be voting to nominate candidates for state and county offices. We'll be electing delegates to the county party convention. And voters will be voting on county and local proposals. There's residents of Oak Park will have one county proposal they'll be considering, the two local proposals that were just mentioned by City Manager Tungate, and then voters in the Berkeley School District will have an additional proposal that they'll be considering. So that's what's on the ballot. I want to remind everybody that if you'd like to know exactly what's on the ballot, who's on the ballot, there are sample ballots available in the clerk's office. They're also available in our library. But also, the best way would be to, if you're on, you can get online and you can see the ballot before the election. Election day, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., as they normally will be, or are. And then in Oak Park, we have 16 precincts, so those are voting in the precincts. Nothing really has changed except for one of our local, one precinct will be different this time. A temporary change for precinct number 1, which is folks that normally vote at Avery Center, 14700 West Lincoln, will be voting at Norup International School, 14450 Manhattan. We've had to make a temporary change for this election only because of some construction that's going on there. So please know that. If anybody has any questions regarding where they vote, please contact the clerk's office and we'll get you to the right place. We also get a lot of questions about absentee voting, so I thought I'd mention that to you all. Absentee voting is an option for some registered voters in Oak Park. You have to have a reason. There are two most common reasons to vote absentee. Number one, voter is expected to be absent from the community on election day during the polling hours. Any voter that's over 60 years of age or older, those are two of the main reasons to get an absentee ballot. There are others. One thing to remember about absentee voting is that it requires a signature, an application. So those applications can be obtained in the clerk's office or online. So that's just something to remember about voting absentee. I often get asked about deadlines related to that, to absentee voting, and the one to remember is the deadline for obtaining a ballot by mail is 2 p.m. on the Saturday before the election, which is August 4th. That day is also a day when the clerk's office is open until 2 p.m., and so actually absentee voting can be done right in our office on that day. The other deadline about absentee voting is once you have a ballot and have completed a ballot, it's due by 8 p.m. on election day. That would be the requirement there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. I'd like to ask Assistant City Manager Kevin Yee to join me at the podium for 15B, please.
Good evening again. Please find attached a request from the Taplin Group, the contractor for the 2017 sewer and catch basin cleaning and televising inspection project. They have indicated they would like to execute the second-year extension of their unit prices for this project to perform the 2018 sewer and catch basin cleaning and televising inspection project M683. The contract allows for up to a 2-year extension. There is $250,000 budgeted for this expenditure. It is recommended that City Council approve the offer for the contract extension from Taplin Group LLC for the 2018 sewer and catch basin cleaning and television inspection project M683 for the total amount of $215,930.85. Be approved.
Is there a motion to that?
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Thank you. And then discussion, questions about the catch basin cleaning and televising? Yes.
I assume if we're wanting to renew the contract with them, that we're very pleased with the work that they've done so far.
Yes, we are very pleased with the work that they've done. They do a good job, they clean them very well, they televise them. If we have any issues, they'll go back and do it again.
Nice. Further question? Nope. Roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Assistant City Manager Yee, 15C, please.
Thank you. Please find attached a request from In Situ Form Technologies USA, LLC, the contractor for the 2017-18 sewer lining project. They have also indicated they'd like to execute the second-year extension excuse me, of their unit prices for this project to perform the 2019 sewer lining project M688. The contract, again, allows for up to a 2-year extension. There is $500,000 budgeted in the 2018-19 budget for sewer lining and repairs. It is recommended that City Council approve the offer for the contract extension from In Situ Form Technologies USA, LLC, for the 2019 sewer lining project M688 for the amount of $248,066.90. Funding is available in the Water and Sewer Fund.
So moved?
Support.
Moved and supported. Thank you. Discussion or questions about this one? Yes.
Does this entail any tearing up of streets or anything of that nature?
No, it doesn't, and that's why we prefer to do this whenever we can. This is a non-invasive way to structurally repair the sewers. It puts a liner in it. They actually cook it. It's a a resin liner, and they cook it. It becomes hard and structurally sound, and then you don't have to, and then you go in there and cut all the leads out and all that sort of thing, but you don't have to dig anything up. So that's the clear advantage of it. So as long as the sewer is intact and only cracked or things like that, we can do this, and it's something we prefer to do.
Any further questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Director Robert Baer to join me at the podium for 15D. Our Community and Economic Development Director was out ill this evening, so he's pinch hitting for her.
Good evening, City Manager, Mayor, and Council. As Eric stated, I'm here representing Director Maroney, requesting your approval to authorize the City Manager to pass and sign the agreement for the pass-through grant. We were given an opportunity through SEMCOG to join in with Huntington Woods and Berkeley, and we're going to do some preliminary study and $20,000 grant to study the feasibility for green infrastructure, road diets, and safe crossings. With this opportunity, there's only a 20% match, and our contribution is funded through the Corridor Improvement Authority fund, so it doesn't cost the city any funds out of the tax general fund, and our contribution would be $1,275. Again, I'm requesting to authorize the city manager to sign the pass-through agreement and all other documentation in reference to the agreement.
Is there a motion to authorize the city manager to sign this?
So moved. Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions, discussion? Member Weiss?
I was just going to say this is for 9 and Coolidge area.
This is for the 11 Mile and Coolidge
Or 11,
area.
sorry, 11
The
and Coolidge,
corridor
yeah.
is Coolidge from 11 Mile Road all the way to 12, and then 11 Mile Road from Woodward to Greenfield.
Councilmember Burns?
Yes, is this the first time that the city will participate with this pass-through agreement?
The pass-through agreement is just the first time we are actually participating in a pass-through agreement. We've done similar agreements where we did the planning and studying for the 9 Mile Road diet, but not this particular grant.
Okay, thank you.
So this is investing in the future of the city.
This is investing in the future of the city
At no cost to the
If I-
city.
at a very low cost.
Madam Mayor, if I could, it's looking at the feasibility and seeing if it's worthwhile to invest in the future infrastructure of the city. And I would just add that working with these other two communities, as I just mentioned in my presentation, this is something we haven't done enough of in the past, and we're doing more of with Berkeley and Huntington Woods now.
Nice.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, please.
Do we know at this stage, like, which organizations we would be working with in order to conduct these studies?
They will be putting this out to bid and awarding it to planning company, and this has not been awarded yet.
Okay.
Further questions? Roll call vote then.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
motion carried.
I'd like to ask our Director of Recreation, Lori Stasiak, to join me at the podium for 15E, please.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and City Manager Tungate. It's hard to believe that two of our favorite Oak Park summer events have come and gone. It was great to see residents come out and participate in these two major city traditions. Our newly renamed Summer Blast was held on June 16th. Part of this event was the Oakland County Parks' 8th Annual Barbecue Ribs Battle, featuring 25 amateur barbecue rib teams that cooked off for the coveted trophy, prize money, and bragging rights for the year. In addition to the barbecue battle, we had our Kids Zone, which featured Oakland County Parks, Climbing Tower and Inflatables, the DIA Away mobile unit, and the Detroit Imagination Works, which provided free crafts, just to name a few. Entertainment was provided by DJ Truth, Big Ray and the Motor City Kings. Awesome DPW staff and communications team for all their support and contributions, and our public safety officers who were there on hand for the entire day's event. Also to our volunteers, members of from the Parks and Recreation Commission were out strong throughout the day. Our city council members, Carolyn Burns, Regina Weiss, both took a shift at the event, and our mayor for her support as a judge for the barbecue battle. This year we had a great deal of financial support for our event. The sponsors you see up on the screen provided both financial and in-kind contributions. Without them, our event wouldn't be as successful as it was. And now for a short video of the day's events put together by our own Benny White.
So first place, $500, and an even sweeter, bigger plaque, Back Porch Barbecue. Money, oh my God.
July 4th in style, with 4 events happening throughout the day. First up, the Mayor's 5K run started at 8 a.m. sharp. We had 55 runners take to the course, with first through third place medals for 6 age divisions. Up next from 9 to 11 a.m. was the Youth Assistance Pancake Breakfast to benefit youth from Oak Park. Although this is not our event, we do help with the logistics and support for this worthwhile fundraiser for our community. We had the Air Force flyover with 2 A-10s at 10:40 a.m., preempting the parade that started at 11 a.m. with 42 participants. Our parade grand marshals were for the businesses, Joyful Tots Development and Learning Center for their support in our community events, and from the community, Barb and Jim Weiskopf, longtime members of the Independence Day Commission. Our Fun Fest started at 11 a.m. and went through 3 p.m. This featured all kinds of inflatable units from Oakland County Parks, food vendors for every kind of taste bud, and highlighted our community vendors and organizations, as well as the band percussion for some get-up and dance music. Many thank yous go out. This day cannot happen without the cooperation and assistance from our other city departments. Thank yous to our DPW department, communications team, and public safety for all their help and efforts. Also to the parade participants, community organizations, and our volunteers that helped to make this event a great success. I also want to highlight our sponsors for their support in helping to add to the success of the July 4th tradition in Oak Park. Every year, our businesses from Oak Park become more and more involved in our city events. It's so nice to have that kind of support for our residents. And now, sit back and watch the fun, as Benny White has put together yet another video, this time catching the July 4th events.
Without further ado, Oak Park, I need you to make some noise for one of the baddest bands in the land. Y'all make some noise. And when they hit the stage, we need a lot of energy. I don't care how much you sweating, they sweat 3 times as hard. Y'all make some noise for Persuasion! And I die if it never mind.
And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't put a plug in for 3 events happening this week. First of which is our new Oak Park Farmers Market. It starts this Wednesday, July 18th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is brought to you by Humana. And also educational materials are presented by Beaumont Hospital. That is our first in a series of farmers markets happening on Wednesdays, right out here in the open space between City Hall and the library. So I hope everybody will come and join us. Next on Thursday night is another concert in the park at Shepherd Park. This week it's Southfield's Jazz Orchestra that will take the stage at 7 o'clock. This is presented by United Healthcare with additional support provided by Fortson Dentistry. And finally, our last event of the week is on Saturday, July 21st. We are in partnership with the City of Southfield and Oakland County Parks. This particular event is a jazz fest. It's called Rhythm and Rhymes. It will be presented at Southfield, and it is an afternoon and evening full of jazz, all free. So it's right there on the green in front of the Southfield Pavilion, so I hope you'll come out and join that one also. Thank you.
That is so impressive. The number and quality of events that are in the city of Oak Park are amazing. Thank you to our director and her staff for innovation and energy and vision.
Thanks very much.
Hear, hear. Ditto. That's exactly what I was going to say. Lori, great job, and everybody involved, excellent job, from Public Safety, Department of Public Works, Denise, Benny, Lori and your staff, everybody else, great job. Madam Mayor, members of council, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Tungate. Now it's time for the call to the audience. If you have something you'd like to share, please give us your name and address for the record. Please come on up.
Thank you for hearing me, Mayor and council members. My name is Katrina Rogers. I live at 23101 Kenosha. And the reason I'm here tonight is because I'm concerned about the quality of services at the library. I love the city. The library has some problems. Out of the 18 one-hour computers and the two 15-minute computers, 3 are not working, 5 computers do not print. The self-print unit in the library just for the computer lab does not work. The staff has to stop and take your money, and you have to wait for your print. It takes a long time now to check out materials. It's never been like that before. We lost our director, who was very, very good in responding to the things I requested. So I took the liberty of having a few people sign, the ones who were there when I was there Friday and earlier today. So I'd like to leave that with you, and Ms. Weiss, I understand you also on the board for the library. So who should I give this to?
City Manager Tungate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Felicia Tyson, and I'm at 22111 Park Lawn. And my concern today is the street that I live on. It has been flooding ever since I've been living on that street, and that's been like 4.5 years. And every time it floods, the people on that street, our basements, you know, end up full of water, and everything that we own is ruined. And so I was wondering, you know, what's going on with that street, and any repairs going on, especially like the sewer is just, it's a complete ocean when it rains. So
Appreciate you. Is that to Kevin Yee? The last gentleman in the row, please talk to him.
okay.
And thank you for bringing that up for your neighbors.
Thank you.
Everybody else quiet? All right. Nope. Okay. Okay. All right. I would like to pass our condolences to Linda Francisco, who lost Jerry, her beloved husband. Both of them have been stalwarts in support of the library and friends of the library. Just to echo what we heard before, we have 3 more Thursday concerts, Thursday at 7 o'clock. Come on down. There were hundreds of people rocking and doing the hustle last Thursday. It was phenomenal. The jazz orchestra should be wonderful, and they are free. So come on, join your neighbors, come on out, be there, be square, we used to say in the old days. On Wednesday, again, from 9 to 1, is the farmers market. Hugs to Mary Lee, who helps organize all of this, and to Humana and Beaumont for sponsoring. Tuesday, August 7th, as our city clerk mentioned, is the 2 millage tax renewals. This will not increase your taxes, but it will help us keep running the city the way you love it. Thank you so much, and enjoy the summer. Let's see, Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Enjoy the summer.
Thank you. Chatty fellow. Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Have a pleasant evening, and please be safe and be conscious of the heat.
Councilmember Weiss.
We already covered all of the amazing events that are coming up, so I don't have to do that. I do want to highlight one really quick, though, that wasn't discussed. If you live on the east side of the city, the East Oak Park Neighborhood Association is having their annual picnic and corn roast coming up this Saturday from noon to 4 at Best Park. So everyone is welcome to attend that. And then I also just wanted to know, I know we talked a little bit about the library today. I do also want to extend my condolences to Linda Francisco and her family for their loss. I also want to say that our former director, Brandon Bowman, did a fabulous job, and we were sad to see him go. I am excited to announce, this is late breaking news, that we do have a new director. Her name is Sarah Jones. She's going to start on July 30th. She comes to us from Clinton McCone Library District, and she is fabulous, and she will do an amazing job for our library. She actually is a former resident of Oak Park, and she was very active in the Friends when she lived here, and so she's very excited to get back and start working right away. So we're really happy for her to be coming to our city.
Nice.
Thank you, and have a good night.
Very nice. Councilmember Rich.
Good night.
Man of few words. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.